You're listening to the Minutes on Growth podcast, the show that brings you mindfully curated insights into relationships, spirituality, personal development, and everything in between, with your host, Tannaz Hosseinpour. Hi, soul friends. It's Tannaz Hosseinpour, and welcome back to another episode of Minutes on Growth. Today, I have speaker, author, and coach, Dr. Noah St. John, also known as the Father of Afformations, not affirmations, and the mental health coach to the stars. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Great to have you on. Now, before we begin, for those who are not familiar with your work, can you please tell us what are affirmations and how are they different from affirmations?
Right, absolutely. So I want people to realize, all the folks listening to the program, that we are saying a new word. It's actually a word that I invented 25 years ago. And here's the word. It's afformations, AFFORMATIONS. And you can actually go to afformations.com and learn more about my affirmations method if you want. But so if you've ever read a self-help book, you know what an affirmation is, right? That's the old way we've been taught for decades, right? The gurus have been teaching, say these positive statements and, you put them in the positive and write them down. And, I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful. And you're like, no, I'm not, right? I don't believe it, right? So you mentioned I'm a keynote speaker, and one of the things I like to do with my audience members is I like to play a little game. I say, okay, everybody, now say an affirmation just like they taught us, and I want you to see what happens. So I say, all right, everybody say, I am rich. And everybody goes, I am rich. And you know what happens next? Everybody starts laughing. And I go, what are you laughing at? And they go, well, I'm not rich. And I say, but you just said you were. And they go, yeah, but I don't believe it. Now, isn't that the problem with that old method, right? We say these positive statements, we want to believe it, but we just don't believe it most of the time. And so 25 years ago, I was in the shower thinking about this. I call it the shower that changed everything in my books and my coaching programs. And, we all have those aha moments in the shower, right? Well, this was a shower that changed everything, right? For me and over 1 million people over the last 25 years as a result. And so I realized that when we're talking about how to change your beliefs, I realized that the human mind actually works with questions, not statements. For example, if I ask you, why is the sky blue? Your mind immediately goes, I don't know, why is the sky blue? And immediately starts to search for the answer, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, well, wait a minute. If the human mind is automatically searching for answers to questions, why are we going around making statements we don't believe? Why don't we just cut out the middleman? And I said, well, what would that look like? So you get the statement or affirmation, I am rich. And your brain goes, yeah, right. So I said, what would the question be? And then I said, why am I so rich? Why am I so rich? And when you ask that question, your brain instantly starts to search for the answer. It's like doing a Google search or a computer searching its files. Your mind is like a computer. It's like Google, and so it's automatically searching for the answer. So using my affirmations method now, that I've written 21 books about now since 1997, we've helped people using my affirmations method to make more money, to start their business, grow their business, scale their business, even sell their business, but also to find love, to lose weight. We've helped kids to get better grades, have better self-esteem. So men, women, children of all ages really love my affirmations method. And so my affirmations method is a very, very powerful way to change your beliefs. And then it's the first step in my power habit system, whereby I really teach people the power habits of unconsciously successful people. So it's really the foundation of everything that I've been doing for the last 25 years, helping over 1 million people all around the world. And it's really powerful, but it's also very simple and really a lot of fun.
Wow. So instead of making a statement, instead of saying, for example, I am healthy, we ask the mind a question instead, why am I healthy? And then what happens in that moment?
Well, the human brain has something called the embedded presupposition factor. That's just a fancy way of saying that when you ask a question, your brain automatically searches for the answer, like that example I gave you a moment ago. And so the point is, with this statement, what happens is you run into your own belief system, right? I'm healthy. No, I'm not. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm healthy. No, I'm not. And it's like you just keep running into a brick wall called your own brain. So when you ask a question, because of the embedded presupposition factor, you're actually engaging that part of the brain that says, why am I so healthy? And you're like, well, because, and see, you just answer the question. So you never run into the wall. And that's why people absolutely love my affirmations method, because of that very thing. And ironically, a study was done years ago that showed that the affirmations method, the old way, up to 75% of people actually end up more frustrated than before when they use the old method. And so imagine if you had, a smartphone that didn't work 3 out of the 4 times you picked it up. You'd probably get a new phone, right? So that's what I invented. I invented a new phone, which is a better way to use your brain.
Wow. Okay. So that's the first step. We ask a question, but in a positive sentence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, why am I not healthy? It's, why am I healthy?
Right.
Okay. So that's the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And then where do we go from there?
Well, I mean, that's
healthy?
the whole. Yeah, well, no, you're right, but I mean, that's the whole power habit system that I invented. This is another one of my books. I won't hold up all 21 of my books, but anyway, so this is the system that I invented right here, and this is what I call the power habits right here. The power habits of unconsciously successful people, and you'll see that Afformations is the foundational habit. Basically, what I discovered 25 years ago is that highly successful people are doing things unconsciously that therefore they can't teach you because they're not even aware that they're doing it. All right. So when we look at the unconscious habits of highly successful people, a lot of people say about my work that it starts where Napoleon Hill's and Stephen Covey's left off. Because if you've ever read a self-help book like Think and Grow Rich or 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, these are, famous books in self-help, but they all talk about conscious habits. In other words, okay, I know I'm doing this, but what's amazing is that what I discovered after 40 years of studying and experimentation in this industry is that highly successful people are doing things unconsciously that they don't even know they're doing. That's one of the reasons why people hire me as a coach, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching, or even to come in and speak to their team, their organization, because they've spent all this time and money doing all this conscious stuff, but there's all of these things that are in the subconscious that people aren't even aware that they're doing. Let me give you a quick example. I was working with one of my clients, and he had a $4 million business, right? $4 million a year is doing great, but he had been stuck at that same level for 4 years. In other words, he had like flatline, right? It was just like that. Now he was, again, it was at a high level, but still just like that, right? No growth. And so he heard me speak at a conference, and he hired me on the spot. He said, Noah, you are the coach I've been looking for. I love how you talk about this, and you're absolutely right, because I spent all this money on all these other things, and we just haven't grown. And I said, okay. So I coached him for 18 months. In that 18 months, we got his company from being stuck at 4 million for the previous 4 years to over 20 million.
Wow.
In less than 18 months. So what we like to call it is hockey stick growth. See, like you're going along like this, and then whoop, you just go like straight up. And that's the magic happens right here when we install these power habits. It's incredibly life-changing and transformational.
So I have a question. You said these are subconscious. So it's in their subconscious programming, right? Do these highly successful people know that these programs exist within them, in their brain?
Not usually, no. And that's why they can't teach it. So going back to my example that I was just talking about, my client, his name's Adam, by the way. And so Adam had spent all this time and money, just like so many other people, right? Going to all these gurus, and, they say all these things like, well, set your goals and think positive and, take action. And you're like, okay, yeah, I already know all that stuff, so why am I still stuck here? And the reason is, and I call that, by the way, I call that the income ceiling syndrome. People just keep hitting the same income ceiling, and it's because they're talking about the conscious level. So if you think about the human mind, it's like an iceberg, right? So about 5% is visible above the surface, just like an iceberg, right? That's the conscious mind. In other words, that's the thoughts that we know that we're consciously aware of, right? But the vast 95% of our thoughts, behaviors, and actions every day are in the subconscious mind. That means we don't even know we're doing it. And so the point about that is, and this is what I love to tell my clients, whether one-on-one or group, or even my keynote speeches, I love to say this. Listen, when we look at the iceberg, right, it wasn't the part of the iceberg that they could see that sunk the Titanic. It was the part that they didn't see that sunk the Titanic. And that's the part that's sinking us too. And that's the point, is that when you start using my power habit system, the part of you that is in the subconscious comes to the conscious level, and then you can make a choice. See, the difference between the conscious and the subconscious is one word, and that is the difference between choice and no choice. And here's another example for you. Imagine if you're in the room you're in right now, and somebody came in and turned off all the lights, and you couldn't see anything. It was totally dark. And then they said, okay, I want you to rearrange the furniture. You're like, well, I can't see what I'm doing. And they're like, well, come on, get motivated, set your goals, think positive. And you're like, okay, fine. And you're hitting the wall and the thing. And wait, I can't see, right? So what I do is I come in and I go, quick, turn on the lights, and you're like, oh, well, now I can see what I'm doing. See, that's how we bring people from no choice to choice.
Wow. So I have a question. These high performers,
Yeah.
super successful, most of them don't know that these programs exist in their subconscious mind. How did these programs make it into their subconscious? Was it their environment? Was it their family? What shaped their subconscious?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. I call them the systems of support. So there are 5 systems of support that I teach in the Power Habit system, and they are people, activities, environment, introspection, and simplify. So everything starts with your people system, the people that, generally speaking, the people that raised you, right? So a great example of this is Gary Vaynerchuk, my good friend Gary V. Everybody knows who Gary V is, right? Super, super successful guy, really smart guy, and very driven and all that stuff. But he talks about this all the time, that his mother, from the time he was age 0, told him that he was the greatest thing in the world. He was the handsomest, the best, the most talented, this and that and the other, right? And so guess what? You're going to believe that, right? If somebody's telling you that from age 0, you're going to believe that. Well, most of us didn't have that kind of a parent, or father figure or mother figure around them. A lot of us grew up with a lot of negative programming, let's face it, or, as I like to call it, poverty consciousness, right? Like, well, I'm not enough, I can't do anything right, or whatever it might be, right? That's what I call your head trash. Your head trash is a voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... right? Oh, I want to make more money, but I can't do it because. I want to lose weight, but I can't do it because. I want to find love, but I can't do it because. See, most people, except for those high performers, have a lot of head trash. And the head trash is, in fact, the thing that's causing you to hold yourself back. I'll give you another quick example. So I was working with another one of my clients. His name's Charles. And I said, Charles, if we don't take out your head trash, how much do you think that's going to cost you this year? Without batting an eye, he said $1 million. If I don't fix this problem, Noah, it's going to cost me $1 million this year. I said, I tell you what, first of all, I hear that all the time. People say, listen, no, if I don't take out my head trash, it's going to cost me $10,000, $100,000 a month, at least $100,000 to $1 million a year. So that's number one. So it's very common. Number two is, I tell you what, give me 10% of that $1 million, and I will find you that $1 million in the next 12 months. In other words, if you give me $1, I give you $10 back. Is that a good deal? He goes, yeah, that's a good deal. So he paid me $100K. That's 10% of $1 million. Well, and I coached him one-on-one for a year. And in that year, I didn't find him $1 million in 12 months. I found him 1.8 million in 10 months. So talk about hockey stick, right? And he also told me that he went on a 7-week vacation with his wife. They bought a new RV and they drove around the South in their new RV. So not only did he have more money, he has more time than ever before. So that's what I want people to realize. Yes, we talk about money because money is easy to measure, but what's far more important is your quality of life.
Wow. Okay. So everything is happening in the subconscious, and our experience of reality is based on these programmings that most of the time we're not aware exist for the 95% of the iceberg. Right. Okay. So that's one part. And then you talked about the affirmations with kind of start the foundation of the subconscious reprogramming work, right?
That's right.
But you also mentioned something which was your second epiphany, and I really want to know what that is. Like, if you can talk a little bit more about what is success anorexia.
Well, yes, that was my second epiphany that I had in 1997. So over 26 years ago now, when I realized that there are millions and millions of highly intelligent, motivated, driven, creative, smart people who are unconsciously holding themselves back from the success they're perfectly capable of. And so what everybody else talked about and is still talking about to this day is this behavior called self-sabotage, right? In other words, you get to a certain level of success and then you sabotage yourself. You hold yourself back. Again, I call that the income ceiling law. Like everybody I've been talking about, all of my clients. And I mean, you can go to our website and, see a lot more examples. But my point is, when you are holding yourself back from success, the level of success you're perfectly capable of, I realize that that's not a behavior. That's actually a condition. Everyone is talking about a behavior. And see, the problem with that is you can't change behavior at the level of behavior. You have to go underneath the behavior to what's causing the behavior. So I'll give you an example. Imagine if you were in a room at like a networking event, right? And there was, 100 people in the room, and somebody got up on stage and they said to you, okay, now everybody like each other. And you're like, what? Huh? And you're like, that doesn't make any sense, right? But see, what they're trying to do is they're trying to change your behavior. And it's like, well, wait a minute, wait. That doesn't even make any sense. Number one. Number two is I got to know somebody before I know if I like them or not, right? See,
Yeah.
but that's the example of what they're doing out there. Set your goals and think positive and work hard and hustle and grind. Okay, none of those things are exactly wrong, but they also don't really work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where my coaching and training and mentoring is different, is that I go to the causal level, what's actually causing the behavior. So like in the example of Adam and Charles, I mean, everybody that I've coached over the last 25 years, that's why a lot of people actually hire me to coach them, whether one-on-one or group coaching, after they've gone to all the gurus out there. And they're like, how come I'm still stuck? How come I'm still hitting the same level here? I'll get another quick example. I had one client, her name's Aubrey, and she was working. You've heard the phrase working yourself to death. She was literally doing it. She was working herself to death. She was working like 14, 16, 18 hours a day. She had put herself in a wheelchair and working in her own business for 15 years, but she had no growth in her business. No matter how hard she worked, it wasn't doing anything. She just had flatline. And she was almost working herself to death. Her doctor said, you might not walk again. You can't do this to yourself. But she just couldn't stop because she didn't know how to change, how to fix it. So I coached her. And in less than a year, she not only was able to heal herself and heal her body, but she doubled her income in 1 year after being stuck for 15 years at the same level, even after working herself to death. So that's another great example of hockey stick growth that can happen when you put these systems in place.
Wow. And all of this is a result of working with the subconscious mind.
Well, that's where it starts. I mean,
Okay,
the reason that my clients get hockey stick growth is two things: inner game and outer game. So inner game is everything that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it affects everything you do. Mm-hmm. So like as a keynote speaker, one of the things I like to say to my audience members is, okay, what is one area of your life where your beliefs don't affect you? And people go, I go, exactly. There's no place your beliefs don't affect you, right? I mean, your beliefs affect your health, your wealth, your finances, your business, your personal life, I mean, everything, right? But here's the thing: you can't see a belief. You can only see the effects of a belief. So most people are just walking around saying, well, I can't do it because, and their life is a result of that, right? Mm-hmm. But what's funny about that, or interesting, is that, you could be doing well in one area of your life, but maybe you're stuck or struggling in another area. Maybe your health is great, but your money is suffering, or your money's great, but your relationships are suffering. See what I mean? So it's not cookie cutter, one size fits all. It's all very customized with the work that we do. So that's the inner game. But then you also have the outer game, and that's the things that you have to do, in your job, in your business, as an entrepreneur or a business professional, or whatever you do. Also in your health, you have to eat right, you have to exercise, you have to do those outer things. But see, what happens is everybody's focused on the outer, but they really haven't been shown, they haven't been given a system to really work on the inner. All success starts with the inner game. And that's why we take the inner game, or the inner game out approach. We start with the inner and then we go to the outer. And that's what causes that hockey stick growth.
Powerful. So I'm assuming that you talk a lot about these systems in your latest book, The 7-Figure Life: How to Leverage the 4 Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. I know you can tell us, but you can't summarize the whole book in like 5 minutes. But what are these 4 focus factors?
I absolutely can do that. Are you kidding me? I'm a pro. I've been doing this for a while. So yes, I can do it. So yeah, this is the book. It's called The 7-Figure Life: How to Leverage the 4 Focus Factors for More Wealth and Happiness. By the way, you can get $300 worth of free bonus gifts when you get this book at 7figurelifebook.com. Very easy to remember, 7, the number 7, 7figurelifebook.com, because you're listening to this program. So just go there, get the book at 7-Figure Life Book, and then just enter your order info, and I will send you $300 of bonus gifts because you're watching this program. So yeah, so people ask me, I'm doing a lot of interviews now, and they say, well, so what are these 4 focus factors? So I can sum it up very quickly. So the 4 focus factors. So when I talk about the 7-figure life, right, everybody assumes it's just about money, right? So, oh yeah, it's just about money. And I go, okay, well, listen, money's important. I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, so I know what it's like to not have money. It sucks. There's nothing good about it, okay? There's nothing good about poverty. And so, yes, money's very important. But let me give you an example, and I'll show you what I mean. So imagine if I said to you, all right, I'm going to give you $1 million. There's only one stipulation, and that is you have no time to enjoy it. You have no time whatsoever to enjoy this money. Does that sound like a good deal? And you're like, well, no, not really. That doesn't sound that great. No. Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $1 million, and you have to be angry, depressed, and miserable all the time. Sound good?
No.
No, that's not very good. All right, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $1 million and you have to be all alone all the time. You have no relationships and nobody to enjoy it with. Sound good? No.
Horrible.
None of that sounds any good. No, right? You see that? So that's how I show it to you. It's like, wait a minute. So that's why the 4 focus factors are time, energy, relationships, and money. See, we have to leverage all of those 4 focus factors in order to have what, you can call a wealthy life, a happy life, a fulfilled life, whatever you want to call it. I call it the 7-figure life because, that's a number that a lot of people want to get to, but it's not just about the money. And I just showed you why, right? Because what if you have all this money, but you don't have the time, or you don't have the right energy, or you don't have the right relationships in place? It's not going to be a happy, fulfilled life. So that's what this book, and really that's what my whole teaching is all about.
Wow. So time, energy, relationships, and money. These are the 4 elements that when you put together, you kind of get that fulfilled, happy, meaningful life.
Exactly. And frankly, one of the things that I tell people to do, and you can literally do this in about 30 seconds, is you can literally just do a quick, I call it taking your freedom temperature, and you can rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 and how free or how stuck do I feel in time? Meaning like, am I always telling myself, oh man, I got way too much to do in too little time? So you get a pretty low score on that, right? Like scale 1 to 10, right? And say, oh man, that's like a 2, Or energy, how am I doing on energy? Do I feel like I have a lot of good energy, happy and excited throughout the day? Or am I depressed and sad and, angry, whatever, miserable all the time? Well, that's not very good. Then you can rate yourself in relationships, scale of 1 to 10. How are my relationships doing? That's pretty easy. And money, how am I going on money? Am I able to pay my bills, or is there more month left at the end of the money? Right? And so you can rate yourself 1 to 10 in all those 4 areas. And really just see, wait a minute, oh gosh, you know what? I never thought of it that way. A lot of people tell me that, I never thought of that, but now I know what I need to work on. I really need to focus on, hence the name focus factors. Right? I need to focus on giving myself more time, or having better energy, or improving my relationships, or, working on my money. So, or it could be, for most people, it's a combination of all 4.
Wow. And in your book, you mention a method to beat procrastination, which in my opinion affects both time and energy, right? So it's
technically it affects everything, really. I mean, you can make the argument that it affects everything. I can certainly make the argument that procrastination affects your money, and it can certainly affect your relationships as well. So procrastination is a habit, right? It's a behavior. And that's what I was saying a moment ago, is that you can't change the level, or you can't change behavior at the level of behavior. You have to go underneath the behavior to what is causing the behavior, right? So what, the gurus out there are doing is saying, don't procrastinate.
Okay.
Thanks. That really helped. Yeah. What? It's like saying, get motivated, believe in yourself. What? It's stupid when I say it that way. It's obvious how dumb it is, right? But anyway, so procrastination, and briefly, I'll go into what a habit actually is. It's actually 5 stages. I talk about this in my, my books and my coaching. But basically, there's the cue, routine, the reward, craving, and belief. So again, very briefly, you have the trigger or cue, which is, what happens in your life. Then you have the cue, routine. What do you do? Then you have the reward, like the reward that actually happens in the brain. And you have a craving, like you want to keep doing that habit. And then finally you have a belief. You have a belief that it forms in your brain of, oh, it's really hard for me to change this habit, right? Or most people have a belief that say, oh, I'm a procrastinator. Oh, it's just what I do. But see, that's just a belief. So one of the things that we do, and that makes my coaching and my training different, is that we don't worry about trying to change the behavior. We just change the routine and we change the belief. That's it. You have to change the routine. So let's say you're procrastinating on writing your book. Like I help a lot of people write their books. I've written 21 books, and I've helped dozens of clients get their books written. So we have a book done for you service as well. You can check that out on our website. But my point is that, a lot of people want to write a book and they put it off, right? Because, oh, it's going to be too hard. Oh, I don't know what to say, or who's going to listen to me? See, you're not procrastinating. You're listening to your head trash. See, that is the thing that's holding you back. See how this all fits together?
Yeah.
And so that's the point. And that's just one simple example. So we just help you to understand that belief, number one. And then number two, we just say, listen, just take a little step today. Just write your book for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Is 10 minutes going to kill you? No. Is it going to cause you to actually face that fear and overcome that fear? Yes, it is. Right. And so if you write for 10 minutes, you're like, maybe I'll write for 10 more, and before you know it, your book's done. Right. Rather than going 15 years and your book's never done. Right. I was working with one of my clients on that very topic. And she said, no, I want to publish a book, and you're so good at this. And, how do I do it? And I said, well, first of all, have you written a book? And she said, well, actually, yes, I did. I said, really? Where is it? And she said, well, It's in a shoebox in my closet. I said, really? Okay. Just out of curiosity, how long has it been there? She said 15 years. I said, okay. See how we got a little problem here? And so anyway, working, with my Power Habit system, we actually got her to publish her book in less than 6 months. And now she's published multiple books. So you see, once you get those floodgates going,
the ball moving,
exactly. The momentum is really awesome.
Wow. Okay. I have a question. Based on your experience, which one of these 4 areas, money, time, energy, and relationships, do people tend to get stuck in the most?
Well, let me say it this way. Of time, energy, relationships, and money, which one do you think is the most valuable resource? Time, energy, relationships, and money.
I don't know. They're all important.
They are, aren't they? But here's the answer. And, of course, we could argue about this all day, but there is actually an answer. And the answer is time. Mm-hmm. And why is that? Because it's the only resource that can't be replaced. Right. See, you can always get more energy. You can always have more relationships, and you can always get more money. The way that money works is you have some and everyone else has all the rest. All right. So that's money. So money's just going to come in and come out. It's kind of like the current of the ocean. It goes in and out and in and out. That's how money works, right? That's it. Same, energy. Energy goes up and down and relationships go in and out, and there you go. But time can never be replaced. All of Bill Gates' billions can't buy 1 minute of yesterday. And so the irony of that is that we all act as if we're going to live forever. And the sad part is, of course, we're not. And so I have had the experience of facing death twice in my life. One time when I was 25 years old that I decided to take my own life. I decided to commit suicide when I was 25. At the very last moment, my life was spared. And I realized that I didn't know why I was here on the earth. I didn't know my purpose. And I went on a long journey to find my purpose. And that's when I found in 1997, I discovered Afformations and Success Anorexia. So since that time, I've been very clear about what my purpose is. But the second time that I faced death was my wife and I were actually traveling home from a mastermind that I was leading. And it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and we were on a highway. It was snowing, and all of a sudden on this 4-lane highway, there was no one else around. All of a sudden, I saw a pair of headlights coming directly at us in the wrong lane on a highway. And I was like, "What the heck?" And I just swerved just out of sheer instinct, and this car went literally right by us, going 70 miles an hour the other direction in the wrong lane. And I was like, "Did you just see that?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Wow, we could have died just then. I mean, we would have been dead. There's no way you survive that, that at that speed."
Wow.
So the fact is, I'm not trying to be morbid here, but I'm saying that having faced death a couple of times in my life, I realized how precious life is. And, we're not guaranteed yet another day. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. And so that is something, as strange as that might sound, that is something that keeps me motivated to realize the preciousness of every day. Now, that is not to say that you should work all the time. Far from it. I absolutely teach the opposite of that. I teach, hey, you should put these systems in place, the inner game and outer game system, so that it works so you don't have to. So it is the opposite of the hustle and grinders that say work all the time. I'm like, well, you're dumb because you don't have a system. You should let the system work hard so you don't have to.
Right, because some people use that as an excuse to kind of push themselves towards burnout.
Exactly. Yes. Like that story, that client I was just talking about, and she was really doing it. So putting the system in place, she doubled her income in 1 year after 15 years of nothing, and she got her life back.
Wow. So I'm going now to literally download and place an order for all your books because I need to know these systems. I'm super excited. I don't know how everyone else is feeling, but I am super excited to read all of them.
Wonderful.
Last question. If you could go back to your younger self, what advice would you give him, knowing what you know today and experiencing all that you've experienced in the past 40 years?
I would say, don't listen to the gurus. The people who are great at marketing themselves usually suck at teaching. Mm-hmm. And so I paid them over $750,000 only to find out they can't teach so well out of a paper bag. And so I would tell the younger me, believe in myself more, listen to my intuition. Don't think that everyone else out there is smarter than you. It's fine to get advice from trusted mentors and coaches and advisors, people who have success stories, not just of themselves, but much more importantly of other people that they have helped. That means there's a system. Because what those guys do is personality-driven success. That means you have to have their personality. Well, what if you don't? Then you're out of luck. So what I teach that's different is system-driven success. So I wish someone would have helped me and taught me what I teach others now, I'd be a billionaire by now. So, but that is the advice I would give myself. And of course, it's the advice I would give to anyone today is just be very, very careful and make sure that you really do your homework and make sure that the person that you're going to hire to coach you, help you, mentor you really has success stories, not just of themselves, but far more importantly, of other people like you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Noah, for sharing all of that. It's been honestly a blast. Your energy, like, wow, I want to come to one of your speeches and just like be in the same room as you. Super motivational.
I do have something I could also offer. It's called breakthroughwithnoah.com. If you go to breakthroughwithnoah.com, this is for everybody watching the program, just go to breakthroughwithnoah.com. There's an 11-minute video training that I did that shows how I help my clients make more in just 12 weeks than they did in the past 12 months while winning your life back. And so you can see a lot of success stories there, plus the video training. And if you want to talk with me or one of my Power Habits coaches, you can set that up, a breakthrough session at breakthroughwithnoah.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. I will also share that website in the show notes so everyone has access to it. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Noah, for being on the show and for sharing your wisdom with us.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll speak soon. Thank you for joining us this week on Minutes on Growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, then make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now.